Bill, I feel like we're at like a concert, but instead of holding up my like phone
lighter.
or former lighter, now people do it with their phones. I'm just holding up the Robin Hood theme song.
This is inspired by what the Senate is doing today. So we are here in the bunker of Sherwood Forest,
which might not be a write-off anymore. Like some of the,
no.
We're an officially non-government tax.
Once you get that, once you become a billionaire, it would be a write-off. But anyway, so we are seriously considering gathering a band of married men together, and
even just you didn't even have to be sanguine. You could be a melancholy man.
Yeah.
Anytime we take introverts, extroverts.
It's hard to be merrier right now.
Any Enneagram type.
But at any rate, so we've got Mitch McConnell, the sheriff of Nottingham. We've got Evil King John. You can pick whoever you want that to be. Soon to be maybe ex-King John.
Yeah. I mean,
it's kind of the agony and the ecstasy today. One level, we're about to let poor people starve and take food from children and give it to people who belong to Donald Trump's country club. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, that's why we have, are there not debtor prisons? It's just,
for you people.
It's kind of the sense, a very Republican Senate Christmas Carol is what we're going to call this right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, so Susan Collins is voting yes.
Oh, well, because, yeah. No, there is not one. All right, Lord, if you can find 20 righteous men or women in the Senate, will you not destroy it?
Yeah, exactly.
How about 10?
By the way, we should just say that Bill's drinking
a nice Cabernet.
Yeah, and this is not Miller Lite. Last Friday that we recorded, I think I went to Happy Hour. Maybe it wasn't a Friday, and my wife and her friend Mary were there, and the Miller Lite rep was out. And this is actually a can, a metal beer glass. In it is actually the Dogfish 60.
So they offered. I was there, and they offered me one, but I turned it down.
It's pretty cool. It's like,
yeah, I didn't know it was a souvenir. I should have taken it.
Yeah, I kind of like it. So there you go.
There we are.
And also with the new tax plan, I might be reduced to really drinking Miller Lite. Well, I used to call it recession drinking, but now it's Republican tax reform drinking. I mean, that's I was downtown with a friend one time. We went to the downtown tavern in Philly. And he said, look, let me tell you, the only problem with this, my buddy says to the bartender, the only problem with the special is the taste. Can't you give us something else? Like you can order anything out in the bar, it's just not a special. He said, come on, we're recession drinking here. Work with us. That's going to be,
Yep.
Let us eat cake.
Well, that's why, I have to go get the family recipe out. I tell you, the podcast would be really interesting if we start drinking the stuff that Granddad used to make.
Right, eliminate blockages.
Oh my goodness, back in the hills. Did I ever tell you the first time I had moonshine?
No.
Well, of course, these stories always begin. My parents weren't there. I was with Granddad.
Should we just start recording and just like interact? So we have tonight. By the way,
we have a couple ideas.
But we have several ideas. We don't.
I'm looking over the whiteboard.
Yeah, we didn't.
I'm pretending there's something on the whiteboard.
We weren't going to write. We were going to write the whiteboard down. Some things up. But we have several things. So I feel like at this point we should just go. And also, since it's Friday Night Lights, it's a Freaky Friday. We'll actually just
we'll see what
do
happens.
a little more interactive too. We'll try to field more. Once we hit record, we spend less time usually fielding things, but maybe we'll.
Well, but we need people to watch us actually.
Yeah, one person came in.
But well, people. It's good that people are doing something on Friday night.
By the way, I'm still hearing about your interaction with Trip Fuller.
What do you mean?
People thought it was really cool. It was interesting. Thought it was very good television.
Well, considering being very good rate. Well, it was
video. It was video, right? It was video.
Well, I was kind of pissed anyway. Can I say it on TV?
Yeah, I'm going to hit record, by the way. Let's just, before you continue this story, let's just start recording. Because who knows what we're going to miss. That's the problem. We're warmed up.
Yeah.
We're so warm already.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Welcome back to New Persuasive Words. I'm Scott Jones.
And I'm Robin Hood.
Robin Hood Bull.
I'm serious, man.
So we were just...
Although if I'm going to be Robin Hood, I probably shouldn't have told everybody I was going to be Robin Hood.
Right, yeah.
Just
that's
forget,
illegal.
I didn't really mean that Robin Hood thing. I'm not really going to be Robin Hood.
So...
But if any of you, as we said before, if any of you are looking to, I don't know, leave everything and hide out in the woods and rob rich people and give to the poor, send me a little text message.
What's interesting that and like the Contras? Which were the Marxists? The Sandinistas?
Sandinistas.
So you could be a Sandinista.
I like Sandino. Sandinistas not so much. The original Sandino.
I'd rather be a fashionista than a Sandinista any day of the week. And remember, there's no sin in being poor, only in dressing poorly.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah. Speaking of Sandini, I'm speaking of Bruce Cockburn, if I had a rocket launcher, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the next move. That will be legal. With the tax plan, you won't be able to afford it. but if you could, that's going to be...
Yeah. Yep. No. So that's good. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
Reynolds Shook is watching.
Hi, Reynolds.
And
in beautiful Alabama.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Reynolds is living through... By the way, did you hear that the president...
I heard this.
He's doing a rally in Pensacola. Which, by the way, I will post on in the show. I have a picture of me at Pensacola Christian College at the entryway sign, which my wife has spent a year there.
Isn't that the place where they interpret 1 Timothy, meaning that you can harass women? Is that pretty much how they went with that? Yeah.
Our friend David Babico says it's a prison camp for Christians. It's a concentration camp.
Well, I used to say that as a kid I went to Bible concentration camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I learned the Bible.
The best part of Boardwalk Empire was that scene where they take over the Methodist.
Oh, right.
Well, what about Bible camp? Bible camp is canceled.
He was the best villain.
Oh, he was awesome.
He was awesome.
He was awesome.
Yeah. What do we see? What's the word from Alabama? What is Reynolds telling us?
No one wants to be on the podcast.
Well,
Roy wants to be on the podcast. She said.
Oh, right.
Roy want to be? Roy would probably.
Yeah. Yep.
I would have Roy on the podcast if he would wear that little outfit with the little gun, little leather.
If he brings his little gun.
That's the most Village Person outfit I've ever seen.
I said that one. My 90-year-old great aunt. Her gun was 3 times bigger than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That would not work.
Nicole Wallace said that her 5-year-old has water pistols that are bigger than that.
Yeah, water pistol's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I told you one time my great aunt, she ran a gas station until she was 90. I said, Aunt Essie, did we ever feud back in the day? And she looked around, got real quiet. Again, another one of those things my parents are not around. It was my child. She goes, we did a little. She smiled. And we always won. So if any of you out there, if any of my ancestors shot any of your ancestors, I apologize.
Bill completely apologized.
I apologize. Yeah.
Unless they deserved it.
Well, that's not fair.
It was so great on the John Oliver a couple weeks ago. They talked about the Confederacy and slavery, and Anderson Cooper. He actually had, he's all these. They were talking about this show Henry Louis Gates does, where they go through the celebrities' genealogy. And Anderson Cooper, we're surprised your great grandpappy, owned slaves. Oh, and actually he was killed by a slave who took a hoe, like a farming hoe, and put it through his head. And Anderson Cooper's like, and he's aghast. And Skip Gates says, "Do you think he deserved it?" And Cooper goes, "Probably." And Oliver goes, "Just now for posterity, behave in a way that your descendants won't say, 'Guess Pappy deserved it.'" When he was hit in the face and killed with a farm tool.
Well, a good friend of mine is Gail Whitaker, and her brother is Bill Whitaker on CBS. And she decided she was going to trace her ancestry. So she went back and she found the descendant of the Whitakers that owned her family in North Carolina. And she walked in and she goes, "We're probably cousins. Your ancestors own my ancestors," and there was a little bit of and she goes, and this she goes, this North Carolina attorney, she said he even got whiter than he was when he started out. When I said that,
So there we go. So Friday night we have a loose plan. We have several things we're probably going to touch on just in the week's events. But also, if you have questions, will we field questions from Facebook?
Sure, we'll field questions.
We'll field questions. So if anybody has questions that you'd like addressed,
Right.
We're willing to take them on the fly. No, I was going to say it might not have our crack expert friend, but a couple times recently we come in on the fly anyway.
Yeah, right.
So really, you'll get at least the general consistent quality.
Yeah. Although I think I'm not irritated, so I usually do my better work.
Yeah,
I'm a little irritated, but I'm not irritated.
Wait, okay, we could get into the tax thing and talk about taxation in a minute because I think that's worthy of reflection. But
right.
But man, so we had General Flynn.
He flipped.
I mean, it's
Let someone say he's now on Team America.
Yeah, that guy's just hopping on a perch, singing like a canary. Can I get a B flat? All right, here I go.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too, though, because this is an interesting. In all honesty, right? Like, I didn't know what the there was going to be. I mean, like with in relationship to Russia, like it could have been. I mean, it's obvious that the Russians have tried to influence us through Facebook and stuff, but this was a murky thing. And before this,
well, what's murky about it?
I'm saying before the Flynn thing, and he's like, it looked ambiguous as to whether or not we're going to see things like collusion and absurd. Now, I mean, with Flynn, right? Like the fact that the only charge he got was lying to the FBI, which means
they're holding a few other things over his head. Yeah.
Yeah, and
the more serious things actually.
Right.
Being an unregistered foreign agent is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're talking about kidnapping. When you're talking about kidnapping a citizen from another country who's asylum in this country.
That's wild. I mean, that's wild that's your. What's your business do? Well, we do lots of things, consulting.
We can relocate people.
Exactly. We also do kidnapping.
Yeah.
By the way, I haven't posted yet, but I had Jennifer Bryan on Give and Take, and she's fantastic. She said something about Betsy DeVos. And this one, when you read the whole congressional record, I was like, and Betsy DeVos, she just don't forget who his brother is. His brother's Eric, but his brother's the one that runs Blackwater.
Her brother.
Right.
Yeah.
He wants to privatize the Warner.
Who also had set up a secret meeting on, I think, in Mozambique or somewhere like that, some island in the Atlantic, prior to Trump's election with some folks. Yeah, I think the stuff that's really illegal is probably what's been done financially. And whether or not that ever comes out, or, whether that is part of what eventually will drive Donald Trump. But the financial dealings with Russia and the fact that they owe probably, how much they've actually given to him. And, the idea, I listened to a guy who worked for The Guardian, just talking about how the KGB, he was the bureau chief in Russia. And he says, I know how the KGB worked because they were constantly trying to get me.
Yeah.
And he says, basically, they've been, cultivating him and nurturing Donald Trump along for 30 years.
Yeah, no, just watch The Americans. I mean, this is what they,
Well, I was actually talking about something really, not a TV show.
But The Americans is based on that.
Right.
It's based on, that was like, those were the people, I mean, Russia had that program and they would send people up.
No.
They would spend their whole lives
Yep.
learning how to be Americans and come over here and work assets like that and blackmail and trust and,
And sometimes they even became like, the senator from Alabama.
So let me just say this. Okay, so I think that.
Oh, by the way, Reynolds, I did see that church service. I saw something about the church service.
Yeah, Reynolds from Alabama has pointed out that asked us if we saw that, and Roy.
Yeah, it was very meaningful to me. Yeah, I gave my life to Jesus again watching.
I don't want to see Roy in anything but that Village person. No, I do think though, like this is a concern.
I always wondered what happened to the Cowboy Village person. They became Roy Moore. I didn't realize that.
Exactly. I do think like this is where I think that like many liberals are like have some sort of hope in impeachment, and I think that impeachment is a terrible thing, right? Like if somebody is impeached, because we're not a parliamentary system, right? It's a different kind of thing, and it is.
Everybody's ever been impeached did not get convicted by the Senate.
This is true.
Yeah, either Johnson or Clinton got convicted by the Senate, and Nixon resigned before the process started.
Yeah.
I think Trump's have resigned instead of sitting through it.
But I just think I mean, it is on one level, right? Many people of both parties, right, find Trump less than likable. But I think also that when we sort of like tend to root for.
Hi, Jason. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, man. When people, that was Jason Michelli, by the way. It's tough to like go back and forth between Facebook Live and thinking that this is going to become an audio podcast because you think differently about it. And one does, I think.
Well, I guess one of us does.
Right. There you go. One of us. Yeah. But, I mean, I do think like this is one of the things that like a lot of people are going to be alienated no matter how this plays out. And
we're already alienated. And I think, I mean, I think it could be, I think there could be bad things happen. Anyway, the reality of it is, Donald Trump could take food away from children and well, wait a minute. He's doing that. All right. Never mind. That's not theoretical. And his base and the Republicans would still not do anything. I don't even think, if it comes out that Trump told his friend to contact the Russians to talk about how we can work back and forth, I don't think the House won't do anything. As long as the House is majority Republican, they're not going to do anything. I mean, unless they find out that he actually sold secrets to the Russians or that he has a Russian implant in his head or something like that. And even then, I don't think maybe that would help. If he has an implant in his head, we need to talk to Putin, see if he can adjust it a little bit. I just don't think they're not going to do it. I mean, this has been a do nothing Congress with a few exceptions. They show no courage. Our own congressman who did half decent when it came to health insurance walked right in. He's doing what he's being told to by the Republican leadership, and the tax bill is not good for the majority of his constituents. So I don't know. I'm not very optimistic that anything's going to happen, except if they do nothing, and if people actually figure out what's being done to them today, then a lot of them will be voted out of office next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what our system does. We don't like, if we don't like the current regime, I don't want to use the word regime, it's elected government. If we don't like what the current government's doing, let's vote them out. But I'm not overly impressed with how informed the American electorate is right now. And even
when have you ever been impressed with the information awareness of the American electorate?
Hold on. I'm going through each election. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I think that, on these issues, though, like, because there is a temptation. So
John Quincy Adams, the first election.
Reynolds says we'll never get rid of Trump or Roy Moore. That's very possible. It might be like a persistent.
Could be Revelations 13.
A persistent war.
The beast gets shot, but he comes back alive.
Yeah, no, I think that if you're sort of a red jersey team member and a cable news person on Fox, there's this initial just impulse to react.
But there are
defensively.
There are people in Fox who are being critical.
No, there are some.
No,
yeah,
there are
some
real
journalists.
Yeah, and I think there are some people in some like MSNBC that try to be fair. So you do have in both of the most polarized networks, you have people who are trying to be journalists. We've frequently talked about Chris Wallace.
Oh, Chris Wallace is...
And here's the other guy who consistently is... There's another guy. I don't watch it, but there's another guy who's consistently being critical of the things that are to be critical about. Matter of fact, there was a guy from Breitbart today I heard criticize Trump for releasing those propaganda videos.
I saw that, yeah. I saw that too. Yeah, but I just think that in the rush to either sort of defend or attack, we often just forget to say, this is sad. It's sad that our public life is deteriorated at levels that are... I mean, Leon Panetta was on Brett Baer's show tonight, and he was just saying, it's I believe in America, in American exceptionalism. It's like, but we might be in a real period of decline, and we're just so dysfunctional.
Well, can I just say this?
On many, many levels.
Can we kind of stop with the American exceptionalism a little bit? I mean, again, our ideals are exceptional, and they've inspired everybody from Bosnia to Ho Chi Minh to revolutions in Africa, South America. But we have to remember Ho Chi Minh, Sandinista, so many times that even some of the people that have been inspired by our ideals, because for whatever ideology or for money, we end up undercutting them. So I think, again, I believe in our ideals, but that's not pretend that that we have messed up a large part of the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think.
I like Barack Obama, but I think and Liam Patello's, not Leon Patello's another great guy. I just think there's a lot of evidence contrary. I mean, again, I'm not saying I want to be anywhere else, and I want to make my country better, and I care about my country, but I just
maybe Montenegro if you had enough money.
Well, I did on Resident Exile discussion group. I said at the Resident Exile we were going to go colonize somewhere else if democracy in
Montenegro.
Well, Montenegro wasn't set up. I offered New Jersey as an option.
Yeah, I like New Jersey.
But Costa Rica, no one voted for New Jersey.
Do you know the top 10 broadband speeds? The United States is never in, and like Latvia is number 7.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. And again, now with this new tax bill, we'll have a lot of money to increase to build up the infrastructure.
43% of rural Californians do not have high-speed broadband access.
Yeah.
Now so they have like DSL or something, which that's the biggest state in the union, and a lot of it's rural. Like when you think about California, despite how populous it is, it's very large too.
No.
So almost half the people.
Yeah.
In most of the geography, I guess,
right.
Square footage wise. So that means like if you're trying to start a church, start a business, if you're trying to help your kids do their homework, you're just disadvantaged.
If you're trying to gather survivalists together in Northern California.
If you're trying to get a bunker, if you've heard this podcast, although it takes like forever to hear it because you stream so slow, but you too wanted your own bunker. It's, these little things that like are part of the social covenant. And I feel like we don't think of it that way. Like right now, this happened with electricity. When they had to make it a utility because it was just, the electric companies wouldn't, it was just so disparate, like
right.
the coverage. So,
yeah, trust me, I lived in areas where that was the case.
Okay, so let me ask you about taxes.
All
this
right.
is a real Friday Night Politics show.
It is.
Well, there's no Bill Maher right now for the next month and 6 weeks, so we can just do that.
By the way, I did like what Roy Moore said to which guy on one of the late night talk guys. Come down here to Alabama. We'll show you Christian values as a threat. I could see Jesus saying on a sermon now, you come down here and I'll show you what it means to forgive your enemy.
We have 2 Alabamans right now, Ellis and Reynolds.
Yeah.
Are both so if you guys could tell us anything about what is that mall that Roy's banned from, and any local, you can be our on-scene embedded reporters.
Yeah, where's Leonard Skinner when you need them?
Exactly.
Yep.
So, I think, we're thinking about taxes right now, and Trump said at the rally, this won't help me. And my rich friends, they don't like me right now. My rich friends don't like me very much, but that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, but in all seriousness, John Rawls talks about like the invisible veil, like government philosopher and theorist from Harvard. So that basically, like when you do public policy, you should imagine that there's this the veil of invisibility, and you don't know how you're going to be affected by it.
Right.
So you don't know if you're rural or urban, if you're coastal or the middle of the country, if you're in the bottom 10% or the top 1%. And then how would you do tax policy or any appropriations if you didn't know, if you had the veil? It's called the veil of ignorance. Sorry, the veil of ignorance. Now, why do we even talk? See, this only makes me sad because even as we speak, lobbyists were behind the scenes working on the tax compromise. Right.
They even showed Senator Casey showed what they were doing. Yeah, it's. I mean, this is for. I mean, Republicans maybe say we have to give something to our donor base, and I mean the rich donor base who owns half of them, including Pence, and this is what this is.
And with the veil of ignorance, don't get me wrong, too. I mean, the veil of ignorance argument could give way to getting rid of the mortgage deduction. I mean, because Canada doesn't have a mortgage deduction.
Sure, no, there needs to be reform. There needs to be reform. You know, you can even we benefit from the clergy deduction. That may not be fair. Now, the implications and the repercussions of that are going to be devastating. Is it in or is it out in the Senate bill?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I know there was that was challenged in court in Michigan. For those of you who don't know, as clergy, we don't pay taxes on our housing allowance, and if you own a house, you get kind of a double dip for doing that.
You can take up to 50% of your income, right, and anything like toilet paper, light bulbs, anything related to housing.
Well, anybody you could do that,
but you have to have.
But you can do that if you're you can kind of do the similar thing as a small business person. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I actually do that for the bunker, something like that.
But the issue is
The bunker, by the way, is a losing business. it is a losing tax.
Now the recording, that's when we'll do the Patreon. Right here we'll do the commercial there. Yeah. By the way, I think it's my turn to do the commercial.
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So again, there needs to be tax reform. I mean, this tells you how stupid I was. I remember 30 years ago, I said, all right, listen. I have 10 years of postgraduate education, not quite 10 years ago, but 30 years ago. There's no reason I should be able to I'll read the books. I should be able to figure out my own taxes. That was so stupid of me because I made such a mess of things. But
I have a friend who, she's the head of the department it's like in the Comcast building downtown. It's like the big accounting firm in Philly. And she runs the highest end people that file as individuals. So maybe they're an entrepreneur or something, but they still file as individuals. Right. And the hardest thing is when you have to tell them, write the check. Why do I have to write a $2 million check? I hire you. You have to write the check. She's like, no. But
that's because you're worth, $100 million.
Yeah, right. But, it is interesting because I think you think about like the parables of Jesus and the distribution of resources and the person that's
you're just going to make us more depressed if you start talking about Jesus right now.
I mean, on some level, mix John Rawls with a little bit of Jesus, the veil of ignorance,
right, and
also the sort of nature of grace. Like one of the things that Obama said that of course they excerpted terribly in that 2012 election. He said, if you're a small business owner, and what he said was, take for instance the bridge or the road or the power that you didn't build that, and they cut it out and said, if you had a small business, you didn't build that. Really, what he was saying is, even if you're a successful business owner, the infrastructure that allows you to do business, you didn't build. And also, let's say you're really good at algorithms and things like that, and you can make tons of money in hedge funds. Like, how good would that been if you're in a hunter-gatherer society or another kind of society? Like, that so much of our successes are related to things that where we happen to be in the right place. Even with hard work, the hard work wouldn't have been possible without the right place, right time.
Right.
And so I wish that would be more of the spirit of as we think about how we, because what government can do, there's lots of things government can't do.
Yeah.
What it's good at doing is collecting money and writing checks. That's one of the things it can do.
Yeah, and it's supposed to protect the common good.
Right.
Yeah, again, I think, again, we've talked about this before. The initial spirit of capitalism was extremely different than what it is now.
Oh, yeah, Adam Smith. No, it's very different.
Yeah, it would be good for us to return to a good old-fashioned Calvinism, or capitalism. Calvinism.
Bill likes anything. Find a sentence. It would be good for us to return to a good old-fashioned ... For Bill Porter, there's few things that couldn't be.
Yeah. No, I don't want to go back to the Inquisition. I don't want to do that.
The Inquisition.
What
a show. I
don't want to do a crusade. I am interested in going to Sherwood Forest with my merry men. I'm kind of up for that, but other than that, men in tights.
But it is interesting though, because I do think tax policy, like it's interesting. Like the argument, like and this is like very popular in lots of in certain sectors of the country, like the flat tax.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair, right? Like, if we just tax everybody at the same rate. And the problem is, like, if you're somebody that's making, let's say the poverty line in someplace like Bucks County for the family of four is something like $30,000 or $40,000, right?
Which is absurd.
Right. So
because you couldn't live on that, but anyway.
Right, but let's say it's that, and then the person making $40,000 or $41,000, just over the poverty line, you tax them 10%. $4,100 drops into the poverty line. If you're making $4 million and you tax them 10%, their discretionary income is still so high.
Yeah.
And let's just say like what it takes, or let's just say it takes 40,000. Well, I guess that's the poverty line to buy sneakers, food, everything. That person that family of four at 40,000, 41,000 can no longer buy the minimal.
Yeah.
Sustenance things. The person at $4 million, their ability to get those things and to get the highest end of those things is not significantly impacted.
Yeah, the hardest working, most creative people I know are the working poor.
Yeah,
and because they're having to. I mean, I'm thinking about my friends, particularly the folks I worked with in New Chester. I mean, they're all working 3 jobs and they're barely getting by, and they work harder than as most professional folks I know, or they work as hard as any professional person I know. And if a person works hard, they should be able to. They should be able to have the decent things they need for their family. But, ironically, you and I...
You're a socialist.
Yeah, I am. But at any rate, one of the things that is ironic, because there's it doesn't come out much on this show, but for a certain part of our career, we were pretty strong critics of certain trends within liberal theology.
Yeah.
But it's interesting what has really... what has made America the nail in the coffin for us being a post-Christian country are the policies of conservative people. In the name of going back to Make America Great or going back to original values, they are acting in ways that that pagan Rome would be proud of.
Yeah, now, and you think about, like, by the way, a Republican listener from Alabama just said, "Love you guys, the Republicans are anti-American." It's a little strong. I wouldn't want to say they're all, but Bill, you might not think it's...
No, not at all. I mean, I vote for Republicans. I voted for Republicans at times. No, I think this is bad. What's being done? It's bad for the country.
You think about Eisenhower, right? Who was a Republican as well as I can recall, won World War II, helped win World War II. Our top tax rate was the highest margin rate was 90%, and we built the interstate highway system and had the GI Bill, and
built all kinds of public schools, all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah,
and we had. I mean, it's funny because you don't often have middle classes in world history. A little bit around the plague, right? Because of work.
Well, it was happening with the urbanization. Urbanization created,
and then certain population dislocate. Like the middle class had some. There was a class of workers that had some power.
The burger
class, yeah. Mm-hmm. But like oftentimes, it's hard to create a middle class. Like it's not. It doesn't always happen.
It's because it's not a natural phenomena in terms of the way power, might is right. In other words, power tends to acquire power, money tends to acquire money.
Yeah.
And so there's a sense where a middle class, societies and civilizations tend to thrive when you have that going on. I mean, I think we mentioned the other day that, here I stand, the only really progressive century in the West was 13th century.
That podcast's not been put out yet, by the way. I have to put that out. I'll put out 2 tonight.
All right. Well, it's still true.
It's still true.
But that partially it's anachronistic to call it a middle class, but it functioned as the feudal system was breaking down. And so with urbanization, people were no longer under the control. And coupled with that, economic boom was the boom of the university.
Yeah.
And one could argue that this tax plan is anti-education, higher education, with what it does in some of the terms of tax breaks for grad students, endowments and such.
I think this country, though, is getting that way. It's funny because I had Jocelyn Alcott, feminist historian, on the podcast this week. She also says, I'm backed up. I get it really sad too, but she was in France for a sabbatical year, and she normally is at UNC, I think, or Duke. But she basically said that she goes to this pub for there's 3 public intellectuals, like professors types and public intellectual figures. They're going to talk about French labor laws and policy. She said the thing was packed with their efforts, and a lot of these people coming from blue and pink collar jobs are really dialed in. Like, I mean, you imagine we said, hey, we're going to have 3 public intellectuals sit down and talk about American tax policy. Nobody would go. I mean, like, and the fact that they were professors or something, that would be for many people a strike against them. I mean, there's an anti-intellectualism.
Yeah, no, we like reality TV, and we like it's a dumbed down thing, and it's. And, there's always been a kind of an anti-authoritarian, anti-intellectual dimension to American society. There's a little bit. It's ironic. The people who formed this country were some of the most brilliant people we've ever had on the continent. But the spirit of it is, even the myth of it is kind of an anti-intellectual. And Christianity in this country has been always anti-authoritarian, anti-intellectual. And boy, we're doing that very well as well. We got that down. We got that down in the 21st century.
Well, guys, full of hope on a Friday night. By the way, Jason Michelle's son, I think, asked what is our favorite sport.
I probably, number 1, watch professional football. Number 2, professional basketball. But just to go watch, I love lacrosse. I love watching a good lacrosse game. And I love international soccer.
I've always had a soft spot for roller derby.
Yeah, see, he's not. What's Jason's son's name?
I don't know which son this was. Jason, which son asked this?
You just gave yourself a thumbs up.
How did I do that?
Well, because it's a good self-image. We're going to talk about that in the future, having proper self-image.
Oh, wow, I did it again.
Oh, well, you really like what you're doing. No.
Oh, look at that. That's really cool.
Anyway.
I'm just giving myself indiscriminate likes.
Yeah, no.
I like golf, too.
You're a good golfer. Yeah.
To play is golf.
Oh, you gave yourself a heart.
Yeah, I know. I found it. Yeah. Although, I'll tell you.
You're not a sports guy.
But what brought me back to professional football a little bit was that field goal. Oh, Gabriel. That was Gabriel.
Yeah, Scott is a fine golfer.
That field goal, though, a couple weeks ago, was it 62?
What, the Eagles guy? Yeah. Eagles are fun, man. I'm a Steeler fan, but the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now.
I mean, that field goal, Lindy and I were at the Irish River.
Can you just, what kind of time? A field goal has brought you back to football?
60-some yarder?
Gabriel, just don't ask him these questions.
A 60-some yarder?
No, it was a great field goal, but...
I mean, the athleticism and just like...
Okay, wait a minute. You're saying the athleticism of a kicker.
Well, because you have to, all in 1 second, you have to, and the strength and accuracy.
It's an impressive thing to do, but that's usually not what football purists talk about when they talk about athleticism.
I think kickers are incredible. Punting is the worst job though, because you could make you could have the best punt, right, and nobody will still remember or talk about it. Like it's so because basically, if you get a good punt on 3rd down or 4th down. If
you get a good coach on 3rd down, you get something terribly wrong.
Or you get a bad coach. Good punt, bad coach. And on 4th down, you get a good punt, right? But people are just kind of...
Gabriel, you're sorry you asked, aren't you?
People are expecting a decent punt, right? They're expecting, the measure, the emotional connection to success for a punter, but for a field goal kicker...
Wait a minute. This may be the first time in America everyone spoke of in a sentence, the emotional success of a punt.
No, the emotional gratification from a great punt is minimal. Like it's just because you're hoping the team. But the emotional gratification for a field goal at the right time, because it can be a game changer. And now, for an average,
if you hit a punt and you pin them within the 10-yard line, that's emotionally gratifying.
Yeah, but it's not the same kind of thing as if you kick a field goal.
Well, a game winning thing,
right?
I can't believe we're talking about kicking.
But the punter is never going to be. No one is
our first real football conversation. We're talking about freaking punters.
Let's just say that punt is strategic, is instrumental at the end of the game for the win because of the other team's field position, or it stops them from advance. Nobody talks about the punter. Nobody talks about
the coach will, and the team.
The coach will. The team might. I'll tell you, you're not going to. That kicker, that field goal, his dating life changed if he was not married a lot more than any punter's life ever changes. Just saying.
Okay, we don't really have any field research on that, but if any of you have done research on it, please send it.
That's indisputable. It's indisputable. It's indisputable.
Scott on Kicking here
in all fairness,
Worlds.
Neither the punter or the kicker really had the best sort of dating life.
No, that's why they should have stayed with soccer.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's why you stay with soccer.
Of the two, I mean, I just think that.
Yeah, no. If you're a great soccer player, your life is very, very good.
But then also the downside of being a kicker is the Scott Norwood factor, right? Where you miss a couple big ones. That's the thing. The risk reward. I mean, if you screw up a punt, people still don't really remember you as the punter.
No, if you miss the game winning, if
you miss big ones, people. Scott Norwood,
All right, there we go. Football Live here at New Persuasive
You like that? You like that? I've thought about this a lot, actually.
No, well, I don't really. The fact that we finally talk about football and we're talking about
but I've thought about it.
But no, it's obviously that you have. All right.
Well,
there we go. Tomorrow's a big day in college football. Speaking of football, so at any rate, enjoy your weekend.
And also college football will hopefully, with the new tax plan, we'll still have things like
college.
We'll still have colleges, hopefully,
and then also Advent 1. So
Advent 1.
We have been
Lord Jesus.
We have been fairly negative tonight, but my hope is built on nothing less than Schofield's notes and Scripture Press. No, not true. Now my hope is solid, and I don't go to bed tonight without that. So no. God bless all of you.
Whether your hope is subsidized or not anymore, you can write
no, I think my hope is no longer tax break.
All right.
So it's a more expensive hope. It's a sobering hope.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. It was that was something.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but
it was something.
It was something.
It was good. I mean, it's interesting.
Well, I think we talked about what's going on. We purposely said that's what we were going to do.
Yeah, we're all over the map, but I think it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we do our, when we both are in the south of France and playing reruns, we might not play this episode.
Well, everybody, it's nice. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, and due to the tax cuts, send whiskey.
Exactly, please now.
Bye. Good night.